Merry Christmas.
So, can you just maybe address the kicking situation and what the outlook is like heading into this game?
Yeah, like Coach kind of hit on it in his media thing. We're working through it, and he's working through it. So we feel we have a lot of confidence in him to get it right, and we think that this is the best thing, and just for him to be able to work through it. So
So why do you need a kicker on the practice squad then?
I'm sorry.
Why did you bring in a kicker on the practice squad?
I think it's just an option. It's an option to have. Yeah.
What was it you liked about him?
I'm sorry.
What was it you liked about Andre?
Well, he was at the workout whenever we before we signed Riley. Had a good workout. Was accurate. Obviously, a younger kid has a good leg. So
And it seemed like, oh, go ahead, Ash.
I'm sure. Where is Dustin at, like physically and mentally? Because when he talked after the game, he mentioned like feeling like he had the swing thought down, and then feeling like he lost it throughout the week, and then didn't have it going into the game. So just where is he at right now?
yeah, I thought he hit the ball pretty decent during the week. Missed a couple kicks, which happens, and I felt like the pregame warm up was solid. Obviously, we had one opportunity in the game, and he missed the PAT. So, no, I think he's just trying to figure it out. Honestly,
Might there be some sentiment for letting him work through this, in these last two games, just, not having to kick in a game, and then work it through over the offseason and come back nice and strong.
you're saying to not kick him in the next two? I mean, yeah, that's obviously an option. Coach held him out of the game prior to the Cincinnati game. I think that we'll just make a decision at the end of the week and figure out what we think is best for him and our team. And I'll say this: like, there's times where guys, have like a little hiccup in their process, whatever you want to call it. I mean, even like the best in the game, Justin Tucker had one, in the middle of the season, and he's hit the ball really well the last 2 or 3 weeks. So, look, we have confidence. He's a veteran, Dustin, and we feel like he's going to be able to figure it out. So,
Do you look at this like a tryout for Schmidt for 2 weeks, even if he doesn't kick in the games?
I think it's always good to be able to get eyes on a younger player, regardless of what position it's at. I think that, specifically for, specialists in general, it most times takes those guys longer to be able to establish themselves or to get an opportunity. So I think that it's always good to be able to put eyes on a young player, whether it's a, defensive, offensive, or a special teams guy. So I think it's a good thing for us to be able to do that.
Oh, I don't think we talked to you since there was that fair catch free kick thing.
Yeah.
Is that something you guys think about often, even before you saw that in that?
Yeah, we talked through that situation. We don't hit it every week. We hit it every few weeks just to remind our players how we would handle that. I took part in one of those with Harbaugh as my coach in 2013. We played at, and I think people have written about this. We played at St. Louis. I want to say it was a Thursday night game, and ironically, Phil Dawson was the guy that attempted the kick. It was I want to say it was a 70 or 71 yard attempt. So he mishit the ball, and then it ends up playing out just like a regular kickoff would. So we had to cover it like a kickoff. And I would say, in that situation there, they get the 15-yard penalty. So now the ball's at the plus whatever it was. It ends up being a 57-yard field goal, so he can just take a normal field goal approach with no rush. And obviously that's they execute the play well.
Well, the situation's got to be where the punter's backed up for that to even happen. But would you do that only at the end of a half, or would you do that any time in the game?
You could do it. You can do it any time in the game, but I would say it's probably less advantageous to do it earlier in the game when you're trying to score touchdowns and you're trying to move the ball down the field, and you're trying to get even a field goal closer than a 57-yard kick. We actually had a situation when I was an assistant in New England. It was at the end of regulation against Atlanta in the Super Bowl, and Bill came down and asked us if we would be able to attempt to kick from there, and Steve said no, Gostkowski. But it was like it had to be like a 73-yard field goal maybe at that point, because then now you have to cover it like a kickoff, and depending on who that returner is, so.
Do they, does Miami still use Tyreek at all in the return games? Like, is that something you have to be prepared for?
Yeah, they have used him. We're always going to prepare for every possible situation, every possible returner that's on the roster every week. So our guys will always be prepared for whoever we have to cover against.
So with putting Denzel back there after the timeout, did you think about putting him out there initially? Or?
So initially it looked like they were going to punt the ball, and then they came back with the field goal unit. So then that's why we ended up putting him back there. In the event that the ball were to be short, Cade hit a good ball there. Going to give him credit, and did a nice job.
And how nice is it that Jerome has really found his, return footing as you guys go through these?
Jerome's done a good job, and like I talked about in the previous interviews or whatever, the best thing about having a guy like that is they're willing to do it and willing to do whatever it takes for the team. He's our starting running back right now, and he's been our kick returner. So, and I think it's also a good, form of leadership, willing to do whatever it takes for the team, and no matter what role you're in, whether it's the starting returner or playing in, multiple phases as a starter on special teams. So I think that goes a long way. Yeah.
And then you guys are heading into your final home game, knowing how just important this team is to Browns fans. How important is it to just kind of finish strong at home in front of the home crowd?
Yeah, definitely. We've put everything we have into every week, into every game plan, into every practice. Our players, our effort has been really good. Our execution in all three phases has not been to our standard, and hopefully we can put a good product out there the next 2 weeks. We're going against two really good football teams that are still, obviously Miami's still in the playoff hunt, and the next week obviously we got another division game. So our focus is doing everything we can to win the game this week. So make our fans proud.
Very good.
Thanks.